So what I've found is that most job site chaos doesn't actually come from the field. It starts in the office. And more specifically, it begins when you don't have a real process for how a job should flow. So let me walk you through some of the stages that you can use to keep your jobs predictable, professional, and profitable without you having to follow up on every little detail. So part one is starting every job with clean paperwork. Most problems that I've seen start because of a faulty foundation. Before your crew sets their foot on site, before your subs get looped in, before you order a single piece of material, you need clean paperwork, not whatever you can dig out of your Gmail inbox and copy from a past job. I've seen too many contractors win the job and then they skip this part, right? Because they're so excited to get started, but it always catches up to them, right? So here's what I recommend you require for your company before a job gets the green light: a signed scope of work and a deposit on the books, a contract with the client with clear payment terms and a clear, of course, scope of work, all the insurance and licensing docs from all the subcontractors with their general liability, their workers' comp, and a W-9 on file, and just this whole pre-construction checklist of permits and utilities and access codes and, site requirements, and making sure everything's in the job box, and also a contact sheet, right, for all the major players like the project manager, the clients, the superintendents, the subs, the vendors. So I would highly recommend that you get inside of Structure and start playing around with some of this pre-construction checklist, for example. See what this one system can do for every project that you start up. So once your pre-construction checklist is all good to go, then we want to set the project up with some defined checkpoints, right? Most jobs go sideways pretty early, right? Not because your team is lazy or your subs are bad. I mean, sometimes that's the case, but mostly because the first few steps were a little bit vague. This is why building predictable processes and creating structured pre-construction systems is super important. So that can start with defining some critical checkpoints before the job even begins. Some examples could be starting with a kickoff. What date is this job starting? Who's responsible for making this happen? What has to be in place before the first day on site? So without this structure in place, no pun intended, then your team is going to wind up going and improvising. And that's not really, sometimes it could be good, but most of the time, probably 3/4 of the time, if your team's improvising, that's usually not the best. Okay, so next we want to keep everyone aligned with centralized information. And this is one of the most common and costly mistakes that I see a lot of contractors making, is that their job info is scattered across emails, spreadsheets, maybe Procore, Buildertrend, or JobTread, or some other software that doesn't have all the tools all in one place. Maybe there's even worst case sticky notes, folders in their truck, maybe a whiteboard back at the office, right? So when something starts going sideways, nobody really knows exactly where to look, right? The sub calls your project manager, the project manager calls you, they're digging through the inbox in a file you swore you sent to them weeks ago, right? But this kind of chaos is a true profit killer inside of your business. And the fix is simple. We want to centralize everything so it all lives in one place for your projects, like your R5s, your daily logs, your job site photos, your punch lists, all your checklists, everything like that. Your job site schedule, of course, all the files, all the drawings. So when someone needs something, they don't have to ask you 10 times, and all you need to do is just tell them to log into Structure and go look for the information in the very organized place that it is. Like if you're looking for the project drawings, you know exactly the file that you need to look in which folder it's in, right? Under files. Then what we want to do is we want to set our team up for success with weekly updates so everyone knows what's coming, right? There can also be daily check-ins to keep the progress transparent, right? Which you could do some daily logs. We want clear permissions so the right people have the right info without the bottlenecks. Okay, then we want to evaluate the schedule regularly, right? One thing that I see contractors messing up their projects is they're not actually reviewing their schedules enough. Sometimes they only do it once and then just let it sit, and then that turns into a really, really big problem. So by the time a sub no-shows or the materials are delayed, it's already way too late to start trying to adjust this. You have to stay on top of it. That's why I'd recommend building the habit of doing a regular 2-week look ahead and review it with your team, right? Your project manager can lead this, of course. And if you have a COO, your COO can make sure your project manager is doing it, blah, blah, blah. But they want to sit down and say, okay, what's coming up? Are materials already ordered and are they confirmed? Are the subs confirmed and ready? Or if you have in-house crew, same thing. Are permits and inspections going to hold anything up? And which inspections are coming up next? And it's simple, but it works. And it keeps your projects from stalling out, because a mistake mistake could have been caught days or even a week or two earlier, right? And actually, Structur makes this super easy with our Gantt chart feature. You can list out your full schedule in a Gantt chart view, and you can drag and drop things around, set dependencies, everything like that, so your full team is aligned. So in taking the time to make sure that your project managers are reviewing these schedules and setting their 2-week look aheads, it isn't just busy work. I would say that, especially for a project manager, is true leadership. And when they're proactive instead of just reactive, they're going to avoid 90% of all that job site chaos that comes from, well, I thought that was handled, So think of these evaluations as kind of like a project pulse check, not just to stay on track, but to stay ahead. That's the whole point. You want to be thinking ahead. And once you get close to that final stretch of the schedule, don't take your foot off the gas. How you wrap up a job is just as important as how you start it. That brings us to the last piece of this video. We want to close strong and then ask for a review. I see a lot of contractors focus really hard on getting the job done, but they forget to finish strong, right? They focus hard on the beginning and the middle, but we want to wrap up ultra strong, keep a great relationship with the client, because the closeout process really matters just as much as the kickoff. And it's your final impression, it's the taste in the client's mouth that you're going to leave. And it's one of the most overlooked chances to protect your profit, your reputation, and your next referral. So here's just a couple things that I'd recommend. Do a final walkthrough with the client to confirm that everything is completely up to their standards, and do a little punch list, right? And Structur can help you with that. Get a signed completion form formally documenting that the job is done, and send a final invoice with all the product information and your warranties and everything like that. And at the end of the process, you also just want to request feedback. And when you know your client is super happy right here in this kind of closeout process, just go ahead and boom, ask for that review, and even get that video testimonial. Just be like, yeah, it'll take 20 minutes of your time. We'll do everything. We'll bring a camera. All you got to do is just say how happy you were about, the project and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, you can build a checklist as a standard operating procedure for your closeout process, right? So you can do one in each department. So your superintendent knows exactly how to close out. Your project manager knows exactly how to close out and what's actually on his responsibility list. Like, what exactly is your project manager or your superintendent responsible for? They'll have their own closeout checklists, and you can put them as an SOP inside of Structur, inside of the project manager department, inside of the superintendent's department, so that's one thing that'll help you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a little like below if you did, and definitely check out Structur. I know I talk about it a lot now, but it's pretty exciting. So thank you for your support, and I think it'll really help your business. So see you in the next YouTube video. Peace.